All right, let's talk about one of the most critical topics in software today, security. If you're building .NET microservices or web apps, you absolutely have to get this right. We're going to break down the three essential pillars that will help you lock things down properly.
So, let's start with a really simple but super important question. Who holds the keys to your app? I mean, really think about it. The answer to this question is basically the difference between your system being a fortress or just a wide open door. To figure that out, we have to start with our very first pillar. Okay, section 1, authentication. I love this analogy. It's like the bouncer at the door of an exclusive club. Right before you can even think about getting in, that bouncer is going to stop you and say, ID, please. They need to verify who you are. This is always the first step.
So to put it simply, authentication is all about that process of verifying an identity. But here's the thing you have to remember. It's not just about a person logging in with a username and password. In a world of microservices, it's also about one service proving its identity to another before they're allowed to communicate. Super important. Now, what's really cool is that .NET doesn't force a one-size-fits-all solution on you. It's smart about it. For a classic web app where someone logs in, cookies are still great. They just work. But the moment you're talking about a modern setup, like a single-page app or a mobile app hitting your APIs, cookies don't really cut it anymore. You need something stateless and flexible. And that's exactly where bearer tokens shine. Plus, for making users' lives easier, plugging in social logins like Google or enterprise stuff like Azure AD is a breeze. And this flow you see here, this is basically the heartbeat of modern authentication. It's a simple, elegant dance. Your client app goes to an identity provider and says, hey, can I get a token? The provider checks the user's credentials and, if they're good, hands back a secure token. From that point on, the client just tucks that token into the authorization header of every single request it makes to your API. The API's job? Just to glance at the token and see if it's legit. That's it. It's clean, it's stateless, which is huge for scalability, and it's pretty much perfect for a microservices architecture.
All right, so our bouncer, authentication, checked your ID and let you in the door. You're in the club. But now what? This brings us to section 2, authorization. Think of this as the gatekeeper standing at the velvet rope to the VIP section. Just because you're inside doesn't mean you can go everywhere. This gatekeeper has a list, and their job is to decide, okay, what are you actually allowed to do in here?
Yeah, exactly. So authentication gets you in the door, but authorization is the process that determines what you're actually permitted to do once you're inside. Can you access this resource? Can you perform that action? It's all about permissions.
So in the .NET world, we've got two main flavors of this. First up is role-based. It's simple, it's straightforward. You're an admin, you get to do admin stuff. You're a user, you get user stuff. It's great for simple scenarios. But the real power, the thing that gives you fine-grained control, is policy-based authorization. See, a policy isn't just a label, it's a set of rules. It can be something like, you must be over 21 to access this, or you have to have an active subscription. It's incredibly flexible. And honestly, this is a total game changer. Why? Because when you use policies, your business rules for security live in one essential place. You're not scattering if user.role equals admin checks all throughout your codebase. Imagine you need to change a rule. With policies, you change it in one spot. Done. Without them, you're hunting through files, hoping you didn't miss one. For any app that's going to grow or change over time, this kind of flexibility is not just nice to have, it's absolutely essential.
So, we figured out how to handle users. That's great. But there's another equally important character in this story, the application itself. What about its secrets? And that brings us to our third pillar, secrets management. We're talking about things like your database connection strings, third-party API keys, all the sensitive credentials your app needs to function.
And here it is, the number one golden, non-negotiable rule of application security. You ready? Do not put secrets in your code. Don't check them into source control, ever. The second an API key or a password hits a Git repository, you have to treat it as if it's been posted on a billboard in Times Square. It is compromised, forever, no exceptions. Okay, so that immediately brings up a very, very good question, right? If you can't put them in your code, and you can't put them in your config files that get checked into source control, well, where the heck are they supposed to go?
Well, the answer really depends on where your code is running. When you're just in development working on your own machine, you can use simpler tools. Things like environment variables or the .NET Secret Manager tool are perfectly fine. They keep secrets out of your source code, and that's the main goal there. But when you go to production, that's a whole different ballgame. You need to level up.
You need a dedicated secure vault, and something like Azure Key Vault is built for exactly this. It's a hardware-secured fortress in the cloud designed to do one thing and one thing only: protect your application's most valuable secrets. So look, if you take away just one single thing from this entire section, let it be this: separate your secrets from your code, always. That principle, that simple separation, is the bedrock of building secure software. Okay, let's zoom out and put all of this together. We've talked about the bouncer, the gatekeeper with the list, and the secure vault. How do these three pieces form a single, strong security strategy? It really boils down to this simple, layered approach. First, you authenticate. You ask, who is this? And verify their identity using something like a bearer token. Once you know who they are, you authorize. You ask, okay, now what are they allowed to do? Using roles or, even better, flexible policies. And all of this is built on a foundation of protecting your own application's credentials, your secrets, in a proper vault. Each layer depends on the one below it. And at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. It doesn't matter if you're building one small web app or a massive sprawling system of microservices. Mastering these three pillars, authentication, authorization, and secrets management, they're not just nice-to-haves. They are the fundamental building blocks for creating applications that people can actually trust.
So that leaves us with one final thought. We've got these three powerful pillars, and they form a great foundation. But in today's world of ever more complex, distributed systems, the security landscape is constantly shifting. The lines we have to defend are always moving. So the real question we have to ask ourselves isn't just how do we secure what we have now, but how do we apply these core principles to secure whatever comes next? That's the challenge that's always ahead of us.